Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 421. Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim. I really hope he finds this episode exciting. So says the sensei of the Whatnot Segulin and the Duke of You Know.
How's it going, eh?
You'll understand a little bit more about that later. On this episode, there's been some really great news coming out this week about things going on in the New 52, post-Convergence, what the titles are that are being released, what titles are sticking around. So we start off with a segment talking about that, our thoughts and feelings, there's news that is released that's a little bit vague. We don't necessarily know the details of every single title, but we speculate about which ones on the current slate are interesting us and why. And then we do a segment where we're going to start our focus on some of the weekly books. This one's totally focused on the Earth 2 universe. We're going to focus on the most recent issue of Earth 2, World's Finest, and Earth 2 World's End, and just kind of talk about that whole event and what we like about it. And we have some great listener voicemails. We are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network, the League of Comic Book Podcasts, and the InfiniteComics.com podcast partnership. Sponsoring us this episode is DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. Over at DCBService.com, you know, Jim, I've been clicking through some of the statues. I've started that new Batgirl costume starting to really grow on me. They've got a Batgirl black and white statue based on that. But here's where I'm torn. I've been collecting these black and white ones. Brian Hitch, they've got his Batman out there. I'm in one of those boats where, I can't get multiple statues, so I'm toying between the two of them, because I don't really have a Batgirl, the new kind. So I'm like, well, it'd be kind of cool to have that and add that to the collection, but then it's Brian Hitch. This is the kind of stuff that, I teeter-totter over throughout the end of the month. That amongst comics and collected editions, and that's the great thing about DCBService.com. Whatever you collect, they have it available for pre-order. It's always at a discount, so you don't pay a premium. You go for these things on eBay, after a while, they have a limited print run. Then you have to start paying a premium, or you can't find them. So I definitely encourage you to check out DCBService.com for comics, trades, statues, toys, whatever you're interested in looking for. DCBService.com is your pre-order source. Over at InStockTrades.com, we do a little talk about, through one of the voicemails, about Grant Morrison. And when we're talking about Grant Morrison, you can't help but talk about the great book, The Invisibles. They're re-releasing Invisibles in these deluxe edition hardcovers. They're up to the third volume right now, which collects Invisibles Volume 2, 1 through 13. This is a $29.99 volume. It's 50% off right now at InStockTrades.com, $14.99. I encourage you to stop by InStockTrades.com every week, because they're constantly doing these great 50% off weekly deals. So check them out over at InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulin, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're discussing on today's show. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Let's talk some comics.
There they are, all alone except for that old character.
So, Jim, the big news this week was this post-Convergence event. And I guess I'm glad they announced them, because obviously you have to do it with solicits. But I like the surprise of what Convergence is going to be. And, I don't necessarily want anything story ruined. But nothing here really ruins story for me. There's some great new rebranded series that are coming out from DC. And I thought this would be fun to, you and I kind of riff about what we're excited about and why. So the series we've got coming out of this is Batman Beyond, Batmite, Bizarro, Black Canary, Constantine the Hellblazer, Cyborg, Dark Universe, Green Lantern Lost Army, Doomed, Earth 2 Society, Dr. Fate, Harley Quinn Power Girl, Justice League of America, Justice League 3001, Martian Manhunter, Midnighter, Mystic U, Omega Men, Prez, Red Hood Arsenal, Robin Son of Batman, Section 8, which is a limited series with Garth Ennis and John McCrea, Starfire, and We Are Robin. And then the continuing series, the ones that are going to be continuing from the previous universe, is Action Comics, Aquaman, Batgirl, Batman, Detective Comics, Batman, Superman, Catwoman, Deathstroke, The Flash, Gotham Academy, Gotham by Midnight, Grayson, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Harlequin, Justice League United, Lobo, Secret Six, Sinestro, New Suicide Squad, Superman, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, Wonder Woman, Secret Six. Just wanted to say again because I'm...
You got to say it twice.
Yeah, I said it multiple times. I don't want that series going anywhere, so I'm thrilled. What do you think about the new lineup, though? I'm very excited about some of the books. There's one, I'll tell you what, the first one right away that I saw, I'm like, where's Batman and Robin? But I really like the lineup, and obviously Patrick Gleason's going to be the writer-artist on the Robin Son of Batman series, so I'm glad to see that he's going to be continuing on with the character of Damian. What do you think about the lineup? Are there some books that are standing out to you as being interesting? Are you excited?
Well, first off, you mispronounced one of the names.
What was that?
One of the titles. It's the Lee Bermeo, Rob Haynes, and Carrie Randolph. Mm-hmm. It's We Are Robin. You got to sing it.
No, we want people to buy this book, Jim.
Obviously, I think you can tell I'm excited about the Robin titles. Robin, Son of Batman, which has got to be a Damian title, which for me takes the place of Batman and Robin. So I'm happy that I'm getting a Damian title. Then you get We Are Robin, where you're getting the other Robins. And I'm assuming that's going to be anyone who had the mantle Robin.
I don't know that that's what that is.
That as well.
Did you see the IGN article on this?
I did not see anything on it.
Yeah. I don't know that that's what this book's going to be. It's going to be very interesting to see what this book is.
Ooh. Okay, now I'm definitely excited.
Yeah.
It's got the mantle of Robin, so there should be some pretty neat stuff there.
I'm excited for Omega Men. I'm really enjoying Tom King's work in the DC universe. It's a surprising title, but I'm glad in this list that they're not just going to the old standbys. They're trying some new things. I think it's a nice balance. They obviously, in the titles that they're keeping, they kept their staple. Their solid, rock solid titles. Then they took some of the titles that were like ending due to story reasons, and they used it as an opportunity to rework some of their characters and launch some new and interesting concepts. Prez, I like the idea of that. It's supposed to be a female Prez who's elected by Twitter. It's supposed to be very, current today, which Prez as a concept when it first came out was a very contemporary piece. So I'm glad to see that they're resurrecting that and kind of using that title the way that it was used to kind of talk about the social climate of the time. And I think it's going to be a fun book. I'm excited for that one. Red Hood Arsenal is going to be really cool because I've been really enjoying that. Scott Lobdell is staying on those two characters, so I'm glad to see that. Earth 2 Society. I was just thrilled to see Earth 2 Society. I'm geeking out over Paul Levitz on Dr. Fate. I don't know what Dr. Fate that's going to be. I'm kind of hoping it's the Earth 2 one because I'm digging that dude. We're going to talk a little bit later about Earth 2 in general, and I'm really digging the current Earth 2 guy. I'm pretty open-minded. Is it going to be the old concept, a new and reimagining? Is it going to be the guy from Earth 2? I don't really care where they go with that. I just like the idea that they're trying a Dr. Fate series again. I hope it is something contemporary and fun.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like Omega Men and Prez, I have no idea who those are. None whatsoever. But Omega Men, Tom King, I'm good to go. Prez, I'll give anything a shot. It's one of those, I'm going into a lot of this stuff completely blind, unknown what it's going to be. And, I'm going to give everything a read through, give it a try. There's some stuff out there that I'm more excited about, obviously. As I said, Robin, Son of Batman, the Black Canary title, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing with it. I agree with you on the Earth 2 and Red Hood and Arsenal. The one that's really stands out for me, and I am wondering what it exactly is that Mystic U. Because with me, and same thing with that Dark Universe, because Dark Universe is James Tynion the Fourth, who I'm loving his writing style. I'm loving what he does. So I'm assuming those are going to be two Magic books. And with me and Magic, I'm tentative going towards it, but in the end, I'm always like, this is awesome. So those are two titles I'm looking forward to seeing what they actually are.
Well, one or both of those is the replacement for Justice League Dark.
Okay.
Because Dark's not on the list.
Yeah, I'm sad to see it go, but if one of these are kind of like a natural progression of it, then I'll be, okay, that's what it is now. So cool.
We're losing Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I saw that. And again, that was another one I'm hoping that the character's not gone, but he's shifted. Mm-hmm. You know, because in my head I'm thinking Mystic U, maybe it's a magic type school, and maybe Swamp Thing's a professor. You know.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening with that title. Batmite. That one was probably the most shocking out of the list. Which, I mean, we've got things like Omega Men. I think you read an Omega Men miniseries since we've done this show. I think there was one that came out in the previous universe. But, I mean, it wasn't enough that you would have a grasp of, like, what the Omega Men are all about. So I'm anxious to see a series with them. So I'm glad that Tom King's got an opportunity to deliver that concept again. But Batmite was one that I'm like, wow, that's not probably the most unexpected book for me out of the batch is Batmite.
Yeah, that one kind of had me going, really? Batmite? And again, it's, Dan Jurgens writing it too, and I like him, and I think he's good, so it's, I'm comfortable and I'm going to get it, but it's, Batmite is, I don't know, he's a character I never really, I've had maybe one or two exposure to him. I never had any deep, lasting connection to him, and I was like, whatever. He was always just a kind of a pass-through thing that I didn't give too many thoughts to. So seeing him on the list kind of had me going, they got Batmite on, but they got rid of Batwoman. Why'd they do that? And that's because Batwoman's one that really hurts. Because I really liked that title, and I thought the character is a really cool character, and just the story was continuing on, and I'm getting the groove of where they're going with her, and I'm finding out it's ending in a couple months. I'm like, no, I want more of that, and that's when I'm going to be sad to see go.
Here's the thing with Batmite and Batman Beyond. It looks like Dan Jurgens, both of his books are, I'm assuming Batmite's outside of the DCU. Very similar to how Batman Beyond's going to be, meaning that they're different continuities or different worlds or something. I'm guessing. I'll be very curious to see how that goes. I've been really loving Dan Jurgens' work on Aquaman and the Others. I just think Aquaman and the Others has been a great series. I'm digging Aquaman Something Fierce, and as the story's been progressing in Aquaman and the Others, the intrigue that's built in the team, I think, is where Dan Jurgens has been shining. He's taken characters, the others, I didn't really care about them at the start of the series. There was that one-off, which was a good, don't get me wrong, their introduction was really good into the DC New 52, but they aren't characters that I know. So you've got to, it is the job of the writer of the series to make you start caring about those characters. I did a marathon recently. I kind of let the others fall into like a stockpiling collection just because of so many books that I'm reading. I did a marathon of reading that book. It's fantastic. Aquaman and the Others is really a good book. It's a really nice companion to the main Aquaman book. What I like about it is that it's different enough from the main Aquaman title with its focus, and that team predating the Justice League I think is a really interesting concept. The characters have really grown on me because each one of them brings something different to the table that isn't really being handled by another character in the DC universe right now. So it's a great series. That's on Dan Jurgens. It's really a great series that he's writing. So the name, I'm with you. The Dan Jurgens name has me more excited for those series than necessarily the concept, although Batman Beyond you kind of had me in on. But I grew up with Batmite being on the cartoon. He was like the cute imp on the Batman cartoon. I loved that. How they're going to roll him into this, I'm very interested in because of Dan Jurgens, more than the idea right now. I have faith that Dan Jurgens is going to make me interested.
Yeah, it's, again, it's Dan Jurgens, so I'm kind of curious. Batman Beyond, I was wondering if he was going to be trapped in our time and not make it back to the future, or if they're going to take it to the future, because he's currently present day society. So could he not make it?
Wait, hold on. Correction on that. He's currently 5 years later.
Right? Yeah, true. He's currently 5 years later. So it's, I'm wondering about that, if he's going to make it back. I'm assuming he's making it back to his time, and they're going to do a Batman Beyond in his time, and it's the future Bat, not the current time or 5 years future. But again, I'm making assumptions. He could maybe make his way to Earth 2 or a different Earth even. There's a lot they can do with Convergent. I think that's kind of the neat side of this.
Harley Quinn getting 2 books. The team-up book, Harley Quinn, Power Girl, and Harley Quinn. I think it's going to be great. Which Power Girl do you think it's going to be? The new one, or?
I'm assuming that, the traditional Power Girl, if there's for lack of a better term, because we've already seen her in Harley Quinn. We've seen Amanda Conner deal with her, and I would imagine that's who it's going to be. But it's funny because we always say, I always say if I see Graham Palmiotti on a book, I'm sold. I don't care what the title is or what you give me in the explanation. It's now for me, if I see Connor Palmiotti and Gray on a book, I'm in. Or if I see any combination of the three working together, I am 100% in. So when I saw Harley Quinn, I was like, oh, cool. And I saw Harley Quinn and Power Girl. Wait, did they just double up? And then I'm like, no, different art. Oh, so I was kind of shocked, surprised, and excited, all rolled up into one, getting two different titles for her.
Well, we're seeing Palmiotti and Connor on Harley Quinn, Starfire,
yeah,
and Harley Quinn Power Girl, which I'm excited about because I think their handling of... I've been really enjoying the Harley Quinn series. I've always enjoyed their handling of Power Girl, whichever version they're going to do. I'm in, and I'm interested to see their take on Starfire and how they're going to build off of Starfire in the New 52, where they're going to go with the character now. So I'm excited on that. I mean, it's a good lineup right now. Doomed. Is that spinning out, do you think, of the Superman Doom thing, or what is that?
Yeah, well, I was hoping you'd have more info on that.
I got no clue.
Yeah. Because I saw that, I'm like, Doomed. Oh, are they doing Doom? Wait a minute, hold on.
Well, they had Superman Doomed, that crossover event.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if that's going to be with Doomsday type of story or whatnot, and I didn't know where that's going through that. And again, another one that just a title throws out there. I'm like, ooh, what's this? And then Scott Lobdell, another writer. I'm like, I digged his work. All right, so let's see what we got going here. It's funny how there's a lot of these titles that I'm like, okay, let's rock. I'm there. For the show, I would get every title, but me as a personal collector, if I wasn't doing the show, there are so many of these titles that I would just get hands down without even thinking twice about it, just because of these creative teams I'm getting used to.
Ming Doyle and James Tynion are both associated with that Dark Universe, and they're associated with Constantine Hellblazer. They're co-writers on Constantine Hellblazer, and the writer of Dark Universe is James Tynion, and Ming Doyle is on art. For the Dark Universe. So I'm wondering if those books are going to be linked. It does lend itself to you were saying before that you were wondering if that was a magic-based book. I think we have our answer.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we have our answer there, which makes me more excited about it. I'm very cool. I'm just glad to see James Tynion's names on some ongoing monthlies because I've really enjoyed his work. So seeing him on more books is just kind of cool for me, just because I'm glad I'm seeing names that I've been enjoying popping up on titles. That's always my worry. Like when there's shifts, it's like, are people that I like going to be able to get attached to some of these books? I actually like that we're seeing some new names too, or some people that I've seen in smaller doses elsewhere. It's getting a chance on some titles. You got to be excited about Midnighter.
Oh God, yeah. Again, I'm wondering which Midnighter, how they're going to go with this, because Midnighter's a character that I absolutely love, but it always depends on, what way they're going with the character, how much of Midnighter is he? Are they going to keep it cleaner? Are they making him nastier? Are they making him more hero? Where is going to be the line for Midnighter? And I'm definitely curious as to what's going to happen with him and what universe. Where is he taking place? Where is he right now? Where is he going to pop up? How is it? It's that connection to this universe. There's so many different ways they can go with the character because he does have that versatility of his, of who he is and what he's about. That, I'm again sitting back, looking, seeing where it goes.
Green Lantern Lost Army, I'm glad that's coming. Cullen Bunn. So, I'm glad to see another Green Lantern book because there's a lot of characters that I want to see.
Yeah, I was worried about losing Green Lantern Corps because I've always enjoyed Green Lantern Corps because there are so many characters in the Corps. So this Lost Army, I'm wondering who this is going to be exactly. Are these going to be, one Earth Lantern and then a bunch of others, or a completely bunch of others, and they're not going to have any of the Earth Lanterns in with that. It's, it's, again, who is the Lost Army? What are they about? Where's this going? It's, it's probably going to be story driven, so we'll see how things change and how things grow from that.
Yeah.
Multiple Justice League titles was another thing that kind of surprised me, because we've got 3 different Justice League titles, and it's who's on what team. Where are they going to go? What team? It's United, Justice League of America, and JLA, and it's or Justice League and JLA, or I get confused sometimes. We got a couple different things out there with the Justice League moniker on them. So it's who is going to be this Justice League?
Well, Justice League is the title that we've been reading with Jeff Johns, so that's the ongoing. Justice League of America is the newly launched one with Brian Hitch doing the writing and the art. This will be Brian Hitch coming back to DC. That's a cool thing. I'm curious, like you are, how having that and United plays out, because we don't know who's writing United yet, and so that part has me kind of curious. I'm glad Cyborg is getting a series.
Yes, me too. Agreed completely.
That's a character out of the New 52. What about Bizarro? I mean, and it's supposed to be, I guess, from what I'm reading, the Bizarro from Bizarro World.
Yeah. Again, another one of those characters that I was like, I never thought I would get a monthly on. Because, the Bizarro we saw in Forever Evil, I thought that was a great character. I loved him and Lex working together. I was like, this is awesome. This is Bizarro, but it's not comical. And I'm not knocking the comical Bizarro. There could be fun doses of it, but a more serious level of it, I thought that was a really great way they did it. And if this is going to be more comical, it's, am I going to be able to do this monthly? Is this something I'm going to want to keep reading time in and time out? I like my palate cleansers. I like comedy. I like some humor. I like to have fun with it. But sometimes a joke can run too long for me. And I don't know, how the joke's going to keep going and how it's going to play out in the long run. And
does it have to be a joke? No, and I'm not and don't get me wrong, I'm not disputing you. It's more of I guess what I'm saying and I'm looking at an art piece from it, so I see where you're getting that from. I think there was a Plastic Man series that was released a few years ago, and I'm kicking myself for drawing a blank on who the writer-artist was, because he did an amazing job. It wasn't DC Universe. Remember we had you know what I'm talking about? I really enjoyed it.
Plastic cover.
Yeah, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It was really a lot of fun. If it's that kind of vibe, I'm in. I think that's really cool. They actually did 2 books, 2 hardcovers that were called Bizarro's World, or Bizarro World. I forget. I think it was Bizarro World was what it was called. There was 2 of them that were put together. They were fun. I mean, they were really entertaining. I think there's a point where it can be fun and a joke, and I want to be cautious with the word a joke, because a lot of times when you say a joke, it makes it sound like the title's diminished. I would prefer to say fun. It could be a fun series. You've got to really have tapped the right creative team for that, if that's where they're going with this. And if it is, I'm on board. If it's really good and entertaining and keeps me excited. Here's a great example, Tiny Titans.
Yeah.
That was endearing. You couldn't put that book down. It was a great, great book. So if it's more that than a poorly put together book with comedy elements, I'm in. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly that title is. I'm tentative like you, just because I don't know a whole lot about where the creative team's going to go with this, but I'm interested.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing, tentative, I think, is the best word for me to describe both Batmite and Bizarro for me, because again, these are characters I don't have a complete strong relationship with. I've seen them each in small dosage, so I don't know how an ongoing is going to go for me. And I want to see. I do want to read these, and I do want to see what they are about, because I'm curious. I'm curious about all this stuff. But we saw how good Curiosity was for the cat.
I'm interested to see, as I'm looking at it, Black Canary in the cover of hers. I'm clicking on and taking a look at it. She's in a band, it looks like the lead singer of a band.
Nice.
So I don't know what they're doing. I'm kind of with you, where I'm interested to see where the character's going to go, and
the character in Batgirl was kind of in a band, sort of. It was like a cover type of thing. So when you think about it, with there's that great Justice League, when she was in the leader of the Justice League back in the old universe, where they show her just jamming on a harmonica. And she said it's great discipline for the vocal cords, for their voice, and breath control, stuff like that. So I would think the same thing, like with singing and being a vocalist, would be also help out with the canary cry, would help with the control of it, and she'd look cool as the lead singer of a band. So she's got the groove and the style. So go for it. Again, great cover for traveling, multiple cities and doing, different stuff, is your traveling rock band. So I don't know.
Omega Man's cover looks really cool. I'm kind of with you on Omega Man. I've seen them as like guest stars. I've read miniseries with them. I'm not the strongest when it comes to the Omega Men. So this is a really good chance for a creative team to introduce me to the Omega Men and get me interested in them. So I'm giving them a lot of credit, because this is one of the things I liked about the New 52. When they launched it, they played with concepts. They got creative. I'm glad to see them embracing that with this. Well, it's not the New 52 anymore. After Convergence, they're dropping the New 52 banner. And not the continuity, but they're dropping the banner. And there's going to be, clearly some series. I'm imagining Batmite. There's no continuity with that. That's its own thing. It looks fun, though. I grew up liking Batmite. I'm glad they're trying some unique concepts that are just a little different than the norm. Because you don't want to only go to your go-to. I don't want every book to be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, if that makes sense. I'm glad that we're seeing some more titles involving some of the top tier characters. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy those characters. But I also like a larger universe. I like the fact that we're seeing some interesting new creative teams, trying some different things. This is what comics are all about. It's fun. And I hope some of these series are my new Animal Man. I mean, I guess I'm looking for that. I'm looking for another Animal Man to latch onto, something really cool.
Here's something I'm kind of curious about, because it caught my eye. Superman, changing creative team. We're losing Jeff Johns as the writer, and we're getting Gene Luen Yang. And apologies to the mispronunciation of the name. Have you ever read any of their work? Because that name, I'm not even ringing a bell with me.
Well, it's one person, so it's not their work, but no. I would imagine you're following up Jeff Johns' run, and you're going to be putting somebody on who's interesting and bringing a unique pitch. You're keeping John Romita Jr., so you got this top-tier artist who you've brought in, to make some noise, and I'm guaranteeing you're putting him with a writer of some note. I don't know. I don't know. I'm with you. I'm clueless there, and I was really playing with you. So I don't know. I'm interested in that. Good catch. Green Arrow has a new writer too. Did you see that? Ben Percy.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping. Here's the thing. I think Green Arrow's got a momentum. It's had it since Jeff Lemire. I think the new creative team has kept that momentum going. Like, I'm jumping to that book when it comes out. Like, it just came out this week and I jumped to it. So I'm in to Green Arrow. So I don't care that we've got a new writer coming on, just as long as they keep the momentum going. Keep the excitement going in the book. I think we started to really identify in this. I'm going to have to start learning how to drop the New 52 idea. But in the post-Flashpoint universe, we've got finally a strong concept of who Green Arrow is, which I think is what plagued the other creative teams before Jeff Lemire. It wasn't that there was bad runs. They were good runs, but there was a consistency missing as far as the identity of who and what Green Arrow is. I think we got that now. I think that needs to be continued to be built on in this new Green Arrow. So whatever Ben Percy does with it, I want it to succeed. I want it to be interesting and exciting. Good luck. So anything else with the new books that you'd like to discuss?
I don't know. I think we got this covered, and I don't know. I am definitely excited and looking forward to a lot of this stuff. I'm glad we're getting some stuff that is, I'm comfortable with the creative teams, and we're continuing on with previous teams going forward. And Gail Simone, Secret Six, Grayson, Tim King, Tim Seeley. It's come on, loving the series, continuing on, going forward. Snyder on Batman, yay! So I'm happy. I'm happy with what we're getting, and there's some curious, some what's this? Some excited on the new stuff as well. So that's a good thing for me to have a nice variety of emotion. There's nothing here that I'm looking at going, oh, this is terrible. There's no negativity coming from this. And we're getting a Martian Manhunter series. So, bringing back the Martian Manhunter, he's a guy I like. He's a character I dig, and I've liked how they've used him in United, liked how they used him in Forever Evil. So he's a solid character. They're continuing the strength, and let's give him another monthly.
There's one major storyline that's coming just because I clicked on the cover of it. The Darkseid War coming in Justice League.
Oh.
Darkseid, it looks like Darkseid versus the Anti-Monitor. There's Metron on the Mobius chair in the middle of the two of them. I don't know how that's going to go, but I'm really excited for that. And by the way, if you took a look at the Midnighter cover, it's pretty clear that it's the Midnighter you like. He's got this wicked-looking grin on his face, and he's looking pretty gory and happy about it.
Nice.
Yes, I don't think you're in any danger there with Midnighter. I'm just clicking through these covers as we're chatting just to kind of see some of it, and I'm really excited. I mean, I think there's some cool stuff here. I like that they're playing. That, to me, is half the fun, is, we're playing around with some series, and we'll see which ones of these stick. I hope people give them a shot and find ones that they like. I do urge people to do this, whether it's titles that are continuing that you're really enjoying or new ones that come out of the gate. If you find something that you're digging, please shout it out when this whole thing happens, because I think it's really important to get word of mouth out there about titles you're digging. Don't worry if it's their, DC's biggest seller, because to me, I'm going to go on the theory again, throughout comics, and let's take DC out of it. Whatever you're reading, if you're like I am, I'm a pretty diverse comic fan. If you're digging something out there, make sure you're shouting it out to people. Let's get the word out that these are good books, and point people at the books that are the top quality. If there's something you're not liking, cool. Don't give it lip service. But with this, I would like to see some of these unique titles that people are digging. Get an audience base and stick around for a little bit, because I like when the comic universe has some interesting, unique titles that maybe previously didn't warrant having their own series. So we'll see what's going.
Through the magic alchemy of nature's most awesome sources of energy, Ray Palmer, atomic physicist, becomes the atom.
Jim, I wanted to do a segment on this episode. You and I are going to start jumping into the weekly books over the next two shows. And I wanted to do a segment devoted to Earth 2. And just Earth 2 as a concept, because what we've got right now is the main Earth 2 title. We've got World's Finest and World's End. And there's like this, for lack of a better term, this convergence of all three titles leading to the ending of Earth 2 as we know it. I don't know what this is going to be. Like, we know that there's two titles. There's a Dr. Fate title and an Earth 2 Society title coming out of Convergence. But we don't really know who's in that. Is it this version of them? Or with the nature of Convergence, is it going to be something else? And I'm not really sure. Earth 2 number 31 was a pure joy for me. It was a heavy focus on this Dr. Fate at a time where I've wanted to know more about this guy. I've been digging him all along. I think his costume design has been absolutely stellar right from the get-go. I've really loved him throughout the series because it's the right amount of classic, while at the same time it's a new take on the character. It's a modernization of the character. It goes to the core of everything I've digged about Dr. Fate, and he's made him really, really interesting. I like that the helmet, Naboo, doesn't necessarily work with Khalid, and that, to me, is a very interesting thing. It's you've got to deal with this relationship with this ancient being who thinks he knows more than you. And I kind of get it. This being's been around forever, right? Khalid can't possibly understand the responsibilities or even the drive of this. You're almost alien at this point if you're Naboo, right?
Yeah.
I love this duality. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I like the fact that even though it has this, Naboo's been around for so long and it has all this knowledge, it still makes mistakes. It still gets suckered. And that was a beautiful swerve that Apocalypse, just completely, they used it. And they used its arrogance. They used everything to, let Naboo think, oh, I'm in complete control. No, you're not. And I love that swerve. And it was funny because I kind of saw it coming, but it wasn't anything that spoiled it when it actually happened. I wasn't disappointed because you crafted the story so well. You're like, they got to do it. Come on, yeah, all right. And you cheer that the bad guys win, but then you see the hero rise up. And it was a really great way to use this where, the villains win, but they don't win in the end. The hero's able to step up and knuckle up and take back the helmet. So I love just how that, again, it's that relationship between these two entities, between these two beings who they're going to have to start working together. They're going to have to start working better together or things ain't going to go well for us.
Yeah. You know what I like when you're in the middle of a battle and all of a sudden you're yanked out? The thing that's been interesting about Earth 2 is that you've got these powerful beings that if they could have just come together sooner and really gotten on the same page, I don't know that this battle would be so one-sided. In the sense that you've got Aquawoman over, doing her thing in Atlantis and not really 100% committing to the team. You've got what's going on with Khalid being pulled off. This team, we see powerful, interesting characters. I actually really like that part. Because of the fact that they're such young characters, they really don't have the kind of experience or also the trust in each other. Some of them do. We see pockets of them teaming up. Like, I really like the Hawkgirl Jay Garrick relationship. I think it's great. It makes sense. Yeah. They've had a lot of time together. We've seen their relationship develop. Khalid having a relationship with Hawkgirl, them being friends, that's very relevant. When he's pulled away, though, it's pulled away by Naboo. And really trying to figure out the balance of Dr. Fate, that there's something otherworldly about that character. You've got to have the humanity there as well. This was a great issue that showcased Khalid in a way that I think was really relevant to it. Alan Scott and what's going on with him and Sam. I keep wanting to see, we see little bits and pieces of Sam coming through. I keep wanting to see more of that. Like, I really root for that relation. Like, I'm very into the two of them. I think it's an interesting relationship that's really built since issue 1. And I'm glad I never saw Sam coming back as an elemental, that type of thing. I'm glad to see that we've got him back in some capacity. It's made me very interested in their relationship again.
Well, and you think about it, it's the strength of love. It's that whole, but it's not only that, these are two beings who are connected and they are both chosen as champions of the elements. They're each their own individual, champion. I thought that was because they talked about that in the annual when they're showing the different champions rising up and the different, and they even said, hey, these are two that are connected on a level. Even though we're telling him he's not going to remember him, he's going to. There's going to be that. And I always root for the love. I always root for the power. And I think that's the great statement in comic books when they can show that it's, there is a strength. It's that hero gut check that we always cheer about. It's the dun da da, but it's also just that fire and that passion. And I love seeing that kind of stuff because it's one of those things that takes the comic book and it moves it beyond the level of it just being a comic book. People always, they try to criticize comics and say, oh, it's just a comic book. It's just a funny book. No, this is a true story. This is a tale that's crafted that has the same level as any other story that's out there. Any classic literature, any type of, quote unquote, real books out there. This comic has that same type of fire and passion. I love seeing those type of elements be brought into this medium.
Characters like Dr. Fate and Firestorm have something in common. I've always grown up wanting, to be a superhero. I like that kind of concept. We all dream of that, right? That's the cool part. But in characters like that, that's like not what I dream of. I don't want some guy in my head, I mean, it's, or girl. I mean, it's, I really, I like the idea of, you always do the dun 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 with Superman, but that's the kind of thing we grew up with. You want to be Superman, you want to be Batman, you kind of want to do those things and be that hero. But you want your sidekicks to be on the outside. You don't want to wear them like luggage. Naboo and the whole Dr. Fate thing, I really like this because when you're seeing this exploration with Khalid, he's almost been freed by what happened here. So you have to make a decision now. Do I take this burden back onto myself again and trust that maybe I can build a relationship with Naboo? Because he loses part of himself when that helmet's on. Because it's even more different than Firestorm. At least with Firestorm, you've got two different people who are still themselves, if I'm making sense. They still got their wits. They have debates. One of them obviously is in the background. They don't get to be corporal. They don't get to be actually in the forefront where they're talking with everybody. But they haven't at least lost themselves. In the case of Naboo, you take that helmet on yourself, you do lose a little piece of you when you're wearing it. I don't know that I could do, I'd like to think I could do what Khalid did. I don't know if I could, and I think Dr. Fate's super cool. I don't know that I'm throwing that baby on my head, though.
Yeah, the Dr. Fate one's a really tough one. Because as you said, you're giving up, you're really giving up control. And it's you're constantly fighting for that control. And it's one of those things where this experience, I think, has strengthened Khalid's control. And I think going forward, we're going to see him in the driver's seat more. But it could always be a Naboo trick. Let him think, hey, you're still in control. And at any point in time, Naboo could take control again. And I think that's the weird relationship that, that makes especially this concept of Dr. Fate so interesting. Because you think back to the end of this episode, he's like, as soon as the problem's done, as soon as the world's saved, I'm burying this helmet. No one's ever wearing it. So he's planning on getting rid of the helmet and making sure nobody stumbles upon this thing. So I think that, again, it shows a difficulty in their relationship and they're going forward. And this is one of the heroes that I would have a hard time putting on the helm of fate knowing what I know.
But if you could, the responsibility and what you're capable of doing with it, if you can have control and the power and actually do it, it's amazing what you can do. I always find the best Dr. Fate stories are like this, where he's hard to put your finger on, what I mean? And I really enjoy that, the mystery of the character. That's mystical to me. To me, mystical stories are at their best when there's a little bit of a discomfort to it, but then it's intriguing because the character is different. They're a little something special that you can't really put your finger on. They're not, he's not Superman. He's not Batman. He's not Green Lantern. He's not the Flash. Dr. Fate's his own unique animal. And there's nobody in Earth 1 or Earth 2 that are quite like Dr. Fate. What a very unique concept. I really am enjoying this telling of Dr. Fate because it has quickly gotten to the core. I mean, I know we're 31 issues in, but when you're part of a team book, it's hard to get this much character development with this guy. At this stage, issue 31, I thought was an absolute home run. I am saying right now, I'm hoping it's Khalid. I would love to follow this guy into a series after this issue. I'm hoping this is Khalid issue 0.
Oh, definitely. I am in complete agreement with you. And it's some of the coolest stuff with the superheroes are the ones that I sit there and I say, I'd like to be that hero, but this. Like, I'd like to be Superman, but I'd always have an issue with the super hearing everybody who needs help and no, I can't help every single one of them. That's always the thing that, kind of turns, gives me that twist with Superman. With Khalid, I got this whole thing where I'd love to have this type of power and be able to do this type of good, but there is the Naboo question. There is that. I'd love to be a Green Lantern, but there is, the little bit of, with the constant, it's that, that discipline, that commitment, that everything, just that everything you have to give into the core to continue on through the core, to continue using the ring. I want to do it, but of this. And I think that for me is always what makes these heroes so cool and makes the stories so real. we have this supernatural thing that could never actually occur in the world, but we can connect to this guy. We can connect to, there's an element of realism behind that because there are those little, but because of that, there's this a little bit. And that's kind of, life is kind of like that. And I am happy when I get those moments and I get to see that kind of stuff.
Speaking of great issues in this Earth 2 universe, Earth 2 World's End number 18 is where we're at right now. We got that great cover with what's going on with Green Lantern, but I'm a Batman geek. I'm a Huntress geek. The moments with Huntress and Thomas Wayne, I thought were absolutely brilliant because they've had such a tumultuous relationship because of who Thomas Wayne is in this world. Man, did I love every minute of that where she's thanking him. She's kind of like, she was one of the Furies. And they managed to save her, managed to bring her back. They fought against the odds. I was so rooting for them to do this. This is a great example of how dark you can take a place. I'm glad this isn't like a 6-issue miniseries because to me, the strength of Earth 2 World's End is the build to what we know is coming. We know from the New 52 Future's End that, I guess we sort of know that this leads to, the future for them. I guess that maybe that isn't set in stone. Maybe Convergence will end that. I don't know. But I'm seeing this to be the end of this particular universe is coming towards the end. I'm hoping it's a swerve. I'd actually like to see that be a swerve.
I'm thinking Convergence is going to be a swerve.
Okay.
Because right now, this is telling the story of how, and this is how I see it. This is telling the story of how Future's End actually happens, where we have the people who, the refugees from Earth 2 make it to Earth 1 and all those problems that it causes that we're seeing, in Future's End and everything that happens, that they're telling that story 5 years in the future. This, to me, is the breakdown of Earth, and something's going to happen to change it. I'm assuming. And I'm hoping. But there's the one character that I don't want to see him go, but there's no way he's surviving, is Thomas Wayne. I bet there's no way he's making it. He's destroying his body so much with the chemicals just to keep the fight going. And it's from the first issue of this to now, they've really aged him and they've really broken down his body. And he just keeps sacrificing it. And he's just trying to save, you see him fighting to save Helena. You see him fighting to save the Earth. It's one of those things where like, man, this guy is awesome. I know he's going to die, but he's going out a hero's death. And I want to see, I hate to say I want to see his death, but I do, because I want to see how this Batman goes down fighting.
I don't want to see him go down fighting. I want to see him continue. It's, here's the thing. I've become a big Thomas Wayne fan in this. I've become a big fan of all the characters. This is, I think, what's different between this and doing a 6-issue series, and kind of what I was alluding to. We've gotten to know these characters so well in their struggle that we want to see them win. Like when I see the two of them standing together there, this is some of the darkest moments you can get to in a comic. Their world's being destroyed around them. Refugees are being by the millions. And I mean, when we say millions, it sounds like a lot, but compared to the actual population of the world, it's not. Are being basically this last-ditch effort to get as many people off the planet as possible. In this like arc kind of thing that they're building towards. We're seeing some very, very dark moments from this world. You hope for them to succeed. Like, I want them to survive. And if that's their winning, is surviving this, then that's a victory. Because these are people I care about, and I want to read more beyond this. To me, I care about following this event right to the end. I'm gripped by this every single week. I want to see more. I love that there's 2 titles, basically shadowing it. With the Earth 2 title really fleshing out certain characters that we need to flesh out. And World's Finest telling us the backstory, predating the Earth 2 book. That part I'm really digging, and I want to talk about that a little bit later, but I'm right now really digging the whole Earth 2 thing. Is that where you're at? I mean, where are you at on this? I'm
absolutely loving this. And when I say I want to see Batman die a heroic death, I don't want to see it happen. I agree with you. I like the character, and I would love to see him survive this. I would love to see him and Helena and doing the whole Bat Mentor type of, storyline and whatnot. I'd love to see that. I just don't see it happening. I don't think he's got a shot. I think he's one of the characters who's got the big old bullseye in his chest. And I think story-wise, it would make sense for him to completely sacrifice himself to save the world. And just because his body is breaking down so much, I can see him saying, I'm going down in a blaze of glory. And so when I say I want to see that, it's more of, I know it, I'm in my head, I know it's coming. So I'm excited to see it, but if they were to somehow not have it happen, I would be very happy because I like the character and I like this universe that they're crafting. I want them to save Earth 2. I want to see Earth 2 society be Justice Society on Earth 2. I want to see these heroes gather together and rebuild after this apocalyptic invasion and not have them actually cross over to our Earth. And have them save their own Earth and protect it. And just the story continue. We've got some great foundations of some characters, and I want to see what's the next chapter. I want to see, just like the Dr. Fate, have it be this Earth's Dr. Fate. Have it be, let's have these characters stay here and do their thing here. And I'm definitely looking forward. I'm hoping that's what we're going to get out of this.
I'm glad the Power Girl took on the Superman symbol, as an homage. There's such a tragic ending to Clark in this world, but I'm glad that we got to see that. Clark had like a Superman moment in this. I was surprised to see the real Clark return in this, but I was really glad that he did. Lois as a robot was, I just think, super awesome. Her as the Red Tornado of this world just really works for me. Her story is so tragic because you take a look at robots and androids, and she's kind of going through what we see with Cyborg. What separates me from the androids? And having the people around you really kind of take a look at that situation and go, no, you are that person. And we've seen that with her when she's lashed out to save Power Girl. I mean, woo, we see a mother's love. This is like her adopted daughter. They really took Power Girl under their wing as family. And she's really, become the mother figure for Power Girl. I really love seeing that relationship. I like that it's different than the relationship that our Supergirl on our world has with our Superman. That to me is, if you're gonna do a multiverse, that's half the fun. That the relationship should be different. They play out differently, which is, I think it's so why I'm very protective of these characters. Really good stuff.
Hey, a thought just popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
We have the two Harlequin titles. So we talked about with Power Girl and Harlequin and then Harlequin.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's Earth 2 Power Girl and a Harlequin on Earth 2 and then the Our Earth Harlequin on the other title?
I'm honestly still under the mindset that there's a very good possibility that that's the new Power Girl that we're seeing in Teen Titans. So I'm not entirely sure that it's going to be this Power Girl, although it could be. I don't know. Your idea, I think, has merit, but here's where I think it loses steam. It's the same writing team who's writing the current Harlequin title.
True.
So I would imagine it's an offshoot of that. I would guess, but I could be wrong. And I honestly, what you presented right now sounds awesome to me. So I don't care.
Yeah. Again, it's me wanting to see continuations of the Earth 2 stuff. Because like her and Val just hanging out and just him being kind of this world's now Superman. I like how he's, again, his character growth, him stepping up to the mantle and actually embracing it and becoming this symbol of hope for them. Her right alongside of him, those two together. There's some really cool opportunities that they have with these characters, and I don't want to see them go away. I don't want them to end.
The best sequence for me, inside that tent. Oh, do I look that awful? You look so much like him. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to even see it, the resemblance. You've got your mother's eyes, her nose, but that stubborn jaw, that's all bruised.
Yeah.
And her looking at that going, and admitting, you look like him too. This moment where, at the end of the day, no matter what, you're still family. And this is a great story of that. You know what I mean? Like, I really love stories that, no matter what's come between you, at the end of the day, if you have these powerful moments, it's really important to realize, hey, you're still family. And that's how this is playing out. And I really love that. It doesn't excuse the past, but it still goes to the reality is we are still family. Really, really love how this is playing out with that sequence. I think it's very rich and very well written.
Oh, God, yeah. It's funny because you talk about just, it doesn't excuse the past, but you can see if they survive this, they're going to be okay. Because just one, the extreme of what they've gone through. And each one is starting to, like, you know, Helena's seeing that Thomas does actually care and actually does, you know, it's not that he's not he's not just the monster that she figured him to be. He actually does love and care about her, about their family. You know, didn't do the best way to show it, but it's the emotions there, and he's seeing the benefit of having that family there. He's seeing what he lost, and that there's a chance to have it back, and you see there's that hope. And I think, you know, with any family, you know, because everybody always has issues with their family periodically. You never have a family that's 100% perfect, that never fight, never argue. You can't be around someone that close to somebody and not have those moments where you want to kill them. You know, it's natural human nature. And so you have this with this extreme situation. You have these emotions, but it's slowly building. I love that scene you talked about, but I also like the fact that with the first time she thanked him, he's like, what was that? You heard me. Thank you. You know, it was just that, hey, yeah, say it a little louder. I want to hear you say thank you again for saving your life. You know,
you're reading that scene very differently compared to me. I don't think he was taking it from a smug sense.
I don't think it was a smug sense, but I think there was a humor to it. You know, there was a connection.
Oh, I think there's a connection. I agree. I think, but the thing is, she was saying it so softly because it's not something, you know, it's kind of a bad family trait, right? Yeah. You know, showing emotions is kind of a hard thing to do. And, you know, she's got to all of a sudden, like, swallow some things up at that point and kind of go, wow, he really did come through. And, you know, for this guy, that's not what I expect. I think he was more shocked. That's how I'm reading that. You know, what was that? I don't think he was saying it in a humorous sense. I think he was shocked. So I think the emotion you're talking about is true there. And I think you're hitting the point. There was a connection there, and I agree with you. But I really think, you know, the underlying, especially I love the way that the bubble's written, thank you. It's very small to designate that she's almost, you know, like, thank you. You know, it's kind of coming from that point, like, because they're not comfortable with that in the bad family. I love that rich sequence because I think it leads into the sequence later.
You know what? Honestly, I did read that wrong the first time. It's funny you're talking about. I'm re-looking at it, and he actually, what was that? He really couldn't hear her.
Yeah.
Because I took it as he heard it, and it was kind of a little bit of a thing. But he really that was a legitimate. Can't hear you there, Sonny. Mm-hmm. You know?
But I think it was because she was so under her breath saying it. Not even nothing smug about it. I think it was just a really rich moment. I honestly think the strength of this issue is the nice interplay with them. Here's the other thing too. I don't know if you're feeling this way in the New 52. We need to figure out who Mr. Terrific is. I really like him here. In the New 52 Future's End, not so much so. Is that just me?
Terrific. Yeah, this is the Mr. Terrific I dig. This is the cool guy. I like how they're playing him here. But again, I can see this guy in 5 years shifting to the guy we don't like. Just because he gets manipulated. He gets played.
Yeah, you know what? There's a point to that. And I'm glad you put it that way. Because, and we'll talk more about this when we talk Future's End, but you're right. Brother Eye's playing a game with him. And how much of that's Brother Eye? You're right. There's some blanks to fill in there. I want to say again, though, I really like this guy. And I hope out of Convergence, this is the guy we wind up with. Because this is my Michael Holt.
Here's something weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just noticing something.
Okay.
If you go to, I think it's like page 3 or 4, it's where Jimmy Olsen is talking to Bruce Wayne. And you start looking at the computer panels that he's looking at when he's talking to Bruce. Mm-hmm. The one panel, that's Hawkman and Flash of Earth 1, not Earth 2. Because I initially saw the wings and I just assumed I didn't pay close enough attention to it. That's because you look at it, that's definitely a male Hawkman. And the Flash that's running is the full red suit, not this universe's Flash. That's a view into the other universe.
Right, because they're escaping through the dimension.
I didn't notice that before until now. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing a great job in this series with kind of this build towards the escape to our dimension. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's stuff like that with little panels like that off to the side that you miss. And like, dang, that's kind of cool.
This is a great build to the Darkseid War, though, just in the sense that you talk about building a villain to superpowers. Darkseid should be epic. And, I mean, he's got a rich history in the DC Universe. When being done right, he feels like this epic villain that's going on here. One of my other favorite sequences, I'm a Hawk geek, when they're done right. I honestly got to say, the best Hawk that's being done in the New 52 right now is this Hawk Girl. I want to see her in a series. You talk about a female breakout character. She needs to, post this event, be in a book. I want to see her in something, whether it's a team book, whatever. I don't care. I want to see her somewhere. She's been a very well-developed character. I think there's a lot of untapped potential there because we know a lot of her story, but I want more moments from her. Like, am I lost on this? Am I the only one feeling this way? I feel this character is untapped. I feel like there's some potential there.
Oh, as you're speaking, my head is nodding. She's another character that, has been just, you can take, there's a solid, and I keep saying foundation a lot in this issue because that's what they've been doing over this period. The Earth 2 creators have been doing a really great job getting us to know who they are, as well as entertain us with the action. They're introducing new characters. They're giving us tastes of the background, tastes of their origin, but it's within this confines of the current story. And she's one that we've got enough glimpses of her that we know what she's about. We've seen really the hero in her step up, especially with everything she's going through with. I love how she and Flash are doing so focused on evacuation, but they are duking it out. Right. So while they're saving people, they're taking out the various nasties that Apocalypse is throwing at them. And every single time that they get to a point where you think maybe they can take a breather, no, Apocalypse turns it up a notch, and the terraforming starts, and hey, you got this, hey, you got that, and you just keep see her pressing on and pushing forward. And it's, I'm like, dang, she is a cool hero. She's somebody like you. I 100% want to see her again later on.
This is when I get geeky about the Hawks, about that concept, the Hawk, it's, in this case, I'll take out the Hawkman concept, just the Hawks in general, what I like about it. She right now is exactly what I'm looking for. I want this character. I want her more. I want to see more with her. This is my current favorite Hawk in the DC universe. Don't get me wrong, I'm liking what they're doing with Hawkman right now. With stuff we're seeing with him in Future's End, I think is really cool. But if I got to pick, it's funny. If we had a survivor of the Hawks right now, I want her Stan. She's the one. I'm like, she's got the conch.
There can be only one.
That's right. If we're going Highlander on this one, she sticks around. I really like her. So I'm hoping that she's a character that spins out of this one and continues on the team. I hope she's part of that Society book.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this is Earth 2 Justice Society, and that's what the Society is. It's that it's that Earth 2 survives because these characters have been just really cool, and it's this version of Green Lantern I'm really digging. Alan, I'm really digging Jay Garrick. I think when they first. The fact that I'm used to them as older people, and I'm not used to them as young heroes, stepping up and doing their thing. It's been kind of a definite treat for me to see them as these young heroes fighting and just, doing what needs to be done. So it's, I don't want it to end. This is a title that I don't want to see end. I want to see them continue because the future stories that they can tell, the rebuilding of their universe, the rebuilding of their Earth. We've had some great introductions of some villains. We've got some great introduction of characters. Let's see where this goes without the booming threat of Apocalypse destroying their society.
Here's the beauty of this, though. Through this destruction, it's funny, I was very worried about this being an ending to them. To me, if this is an ending to them, there's a huge mistake. Yeah. Because I think this has been a great story building heroes. because I root for them around every corner now. I am more impressed when they step up in the midst of all this, like Alan, going after the Parliament in the midst of this horror that's surrounding him. I mean, the Parliament gave him power. He's going to save them. What? I mean,
yeah.
But yet he doesn't hesitate because that's who he's become. He's become something more, and we've enjoyed that journey with him. I really love this Alan Scott. He's, it's at the end of the day, he feels like everything that I loved about Alan Scott. He's gotten there. It was a slow build to this, and I'm glad that they built to it. I really like it. Jay Garrick now feels like Jay Garrick to me. Yeah, it's a younger version of him, but he's got those core qualities to him. There's characters here that I'm just really digging. I've become very protective of Earth 2. I thought that this series, this weekly, I was dreading it because I'm like, oh, by the nature of the concept, like, oh, they're going to destroy everything I love. It's been different than that. They've been building it up more. It's seeing them rise up. It's a Rocky story. For a lack of a better way of putting it, this really is a Rocky story. Dun dun, get up for Mickey. I want to see these guys fight for this, and it's been that kind of story for me. I root for them. I would be highly disappointed if this Earth 2 series Society coming out of this, and I'm a classic JSA geek. I'd be highly disappointed if this isn't the Earth 2 group.
You mentioned Rocky, and I completely agree with you. But you know what? Wildcat, Dick Grayson, and Barbara Gordon Grayson. Those are three characters that throughout this weekly that I was like, when they first introduced the characters, I love the fact that it was Barbara who is the tough cop. And Grayson was, kind of not so physical. He wasn't trained by the bat. And then as situation is dictated, I'm not happy that, Barbara died because, I always feel bad when bad things happen to her, but how they told it in the story and with Wildcat being in there. Now, again, thinking on Society, these are two characters that they can bring into the story somehow. They can bring them into the Society. We can maybe get, I don't know what Dick Grayson name he'll go under in this universe, but maybe we're going to see a Dick Grayson superhero or a Dick Grayson vigilante. Maybe he'll be the Wildcat. Maybe he'll carry on that moniker and it'll be what was Wildcat always in the universe, but it'll be Dick Grayson doing the fighting. I'm kind of curious to see where they take that character going beyond World's End.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued. Here's the thing. And if they don't, I love the way they used him in this.
Yeah.
They've got me. I mean, it's really great. I want to talk a little bit while we're doing this chat about Superman Batman World's Finest number 30. This is a series that shifted from being about Power Girl and Huntress, and I adored it, to being Superman Batman predating all of this. And I'm glad that they took the opportunity to do this, because I think this story, it leads into, it's a prelude to the events that we're seeing right now, where we saw Apocalypse was all along trying to get Superman, and make him that, that character, and seeing how that relationship played out. But even more important, I adored the Catwoman Helena moments. Like really seeing mother and daughter teaming up together, her being trained, and the moments when dad shows up to rescue them, where mom's like ready to save her daughter. She's on that mother instinct, but then she backs off when she hears like a familiar sound. She's like, we're okay. Dad's here to kick some butt. I absolutely thought that was the most priceless moment. Paul Levitz, 30 issues into this series, has really been delivering. Doesn't matter what cast of characters, he's been showcasing why he's a marquee writer. And he's not a name, you hear him associated with so many great stories. You don't always hear the name with the same reverence, though, that, I always think of him as DC's publisher, because that was who he was for years. Seeing him pull back now, this is the guy who wrote these epic Legion stories and created Huntress and pulled these characters in. It's great to see him having such a great role in showing that, when you're a great writer, you just have this ability to really pull out unique stories and reimagine. His stories are very contemporary here. They feel very fresh and very today. Yet at the same time, he knows how to give you these moments where you just go, hoorah. Nothing feels recycled here, yet they're stories that are familiar. I've always adored the idea of Batman being married to Catwoman. and having a family and that kind of continuation. I've always adored that concept. I love that he's made that current and fresh in today and shown us what that looks like. I like this. This was a good choice with this series. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. Wow, is it a great series.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm echoing everything you're saying, and I'm going to add to it because one of the things that rang in my head, because I completely agree. I love the Helena, the Huntress, that family dynamic moments that we got from the Wayne, Kyle family, or however you want to, the Bat and Cat, tag team, for lack of better terms. But the thing that rang true in my head was I'm thinking back to when Helena met Damien, and Damien's analyzing her fighting style. And he's seeing similarities of the Bat. He's seeing the cat trait, and without Helena saying anything, just from the way she's handling, the way she's fighting, the way she's doing, he figured out her lineage. And I love the fact that we're seeing we are seeing that combined lineage. We are seeing where she's getting piece from here, piece from there. It's kind of cool to get this, the family vibe going. And it was kind of neat because of previous mentionings and previous references to it that we're physically seeing kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's seeing that stuff build gradually over time, to me, is, I think, probably the most fun with this. I like seeing things built, like you're saying, that we've alluded to in the series. I wanted to see them fleshed out. Yeah. I love seeing the Superman-Lois relationship fleshed out because I've always been a big fan of the super marriage. I like seeing how it plays out in this world where we've got, this Supergirl's more like a daughter to them. Terry Sloan having appearances here. They didn't just stick to the big two. They're sowing the seeds of what this world was like and how we had characters who were already starting to manipulate things in this world. Terry Sloan is probably one of the more intriguing characters. Hero, villain, something in between. What is he? That mystery to him all the way through what I'm talking about, leading to where we see him today. I like that we see the seeds being sown in this series as well. That was a good choice.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And it's... Again, like you, when they first dropped the Hunter's power, I was like, what? No, I really wanted to see that because I wanted a third side to the World's End story. Because we had World's End, we had, Earth 2, and I was like, this would be kind of a cool third piece. But then when we started getting that backstory, when we started seeing, and they started seeing why they were doing it, I'm like, okay, this was definitely a needed thing to add to the landscape that is Earth 2.
I like the Earth 2 Batman costume. I always did. I always thought this was really, really cool. It was a great variation on it. It plays out even better here when you actually see Batman in action coming in and saving Superman because of what Terry Sloan did. I also like that we see the other Kryptonian boy land there and how he was originally captured. That was a great historical piece to this universe. Earth 2 has really been fleshed out. And it's what Son of Zod, right? Isn't that the...
Yes.
Yeah, the kid's backstory. I like that kid a lot, and that's another character I want to see post Convergence.
Yeah. Oh, big time! I definitely want to see him around, and I like him and Power Girl together. I like, again, it's that whole family type of connection, because you mentioned it, where we're seeing more of her as the daughter, not the cousin, and it's again, if at the beginning would I have said, yeah, I think that's kind of neat? No, because I was so used to the one mindset, but just seeing Lois, seeing the protective mother of Lois, seeing the ground floor, just that, again, throwing out the term I've used multiple times on Earth 2 discussion, foundation, just seeing that layout. And this is the story told over the long haul. And I think this is something where this collected, this type of, bookended series, and I don't want to see it bookended because that says it's the ending of it, but we are getting a nice, beautiful story being told that, post-Convergence, hopefully it'll be just like the next chapter, the next part of the story. We have Earth 2 right here, Convergence. Now we have the new Earth 2 where it's going through the continuation, the next chapter, the next generation, or however you want to look at it. I'm really I'm protective of this earth. I'm protective of the society that's been crafted, and I'm very passionate and very there's a lot of joy in just, complete hoorah in this universe.
I'm glad to see creative from this current story right now and Paul Levitz associated with what this is going to look like afterwards. Give me more hope that that's what we're going to be getting, because this kind of interconnectivity, I love that the stories are sort of independent of each other, in the sense that Paul's really got some freedom to really tell a unique chapter in the history of the Earth, but he's telling a complete story that really, I think, plays so much into what's currently going on in present day. I want to see more of that relationship. So I'm hoping this Dr. Fate series and Earth 2 Society are interconnected in the same way, where each book is very unique, telling very unique stories on their own, but yet there's echoes, there's nods, there's, that kind of connectivity that we've really grown to enjoy from this. I'm very curious to see how these books play out. Really, really good stuff. But I'm very happy right now. I was very worried about this because, like you, I'm protective of it. And that's a sign when you're really hitting a home run, when you've got two people with very different histories with these type of characters coming together. And I think we both probably love it for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very unique experience. And I think that's a sign of quality, because I think there's a lot of latch-on points to these books. And I think they can come from very, very different lenses.
It's, funny because you think about JSA, with that was previously, in the previous universe. You had that really strong connection, and I didn't. And then it was one of those things that slowly built, and I was like, okay, I get people's understanding with JSA. Well, now after everything that's going on with Earth 2, I really understand people's connection who had that long time history with these characters, who had that long type of, this is Alan Scott, this is Jay Garrick. I now get why people can associate, how they get that feeling of this is who this character is, because now I have that same type of feeling. I have that same type of connection to these characters, to these backstories, to this universe. And it's a connection I didn't really have before. I had a love, and it was something that was growing. I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. By the end of the old universe, I was like, yeah, JSAs, that's a neat title. Those are neat characters. But now I'm really seeing it, and I'm really getting that. And I'm getting that vibe and that groove that you have, that so many people have with these characters.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm very into this, and I think you do get it, because what was the key with JSA when Johns and Company relaunched that? What was really went with James Robinson, David Goyer, Jeff Johns. I mean, there was a whole creative team there that was relaunching it. They went to the ground floor like this did. So I'm so glad to see that coming into play again with this, and I can't wait to see where this is going to go in the future. And I'm hoping that they continue building off this great foundation.
Look at those strange little beetles. They look... Great neutron!
G'day, Sean. G'day, Jim. It's Brett from Australia here. Just watching the latest episode of Arrow, number 12, and that incredible scene where Ollie lets Starling City know that he's back. Oh, man, that was a hooray moment. I've just finished jumping up and down and shouting and hooping and hollering. And in my excitement, I wanted to share that with you guys. Man, how good is Arrow? It is such an awesome show. I love every minute of it. Damn, it's just awesome. Thanks for the show, boys, once again. Love everything you guys do as well. Hey, I read Superman 38, and I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I haven't been into what Jeff Johns has been doing with Superman. I've preferred Greg Pak over on Action. But 38 was pretty good. So looks like I'll be picking up Superman from now on as well. All right, thanks again, boys. I hope you're having a good time. See ya.
This is part of the fun of voicemails. I love geek outs like that. Specifically, I'm loving Arrow. I'm loving all the TV shows. It's funny. We have there's so much content we have now between the animated films, the television shows. It's like literally, I'm having trouble keeping up with it all in a good way. Because I watched the Lego stuff. I watched Did you ever get the chance to watch the most recent animated movie, the Justice League?
The Atlantis. I have it, but I haven't been able to sit down and watch it yet.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So I'm loving when I'm hearing him geeking out of what's going on with Arrow. I'm feeling the same way. Like every episode I watch of Arrow, The Flash, Constantine, I'll extend that to the Marvel series right now. Are you watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Are you like caught up in that?
I've made the commitment because I have so much TV to watch that I am not watching the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Agent Carter. I'm like, you know what? I've got too much on my plate with all my TV watching that I'm doing that it was stockpiling. And then I was like, oh, I'll get to it. And then I had a full season stockpiled when the new season was coming out. I'm like, oh my God, I got so much to go with. I'm like, I'm done. So I've made the commitment that I'm not going to be committed to that.
I would suggest this just because it's so good. I'm stockpiled on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, but I did start watching Agent Carter. And I stockpiled on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually for the same reason you are, but I just finished the first season, which I thought was really terrific. So I'm ready to jump on to season 2, and I've got stockpiled episodes. Here's the thing, though. I'm kind of looking at it as it's stockpiles because, like you, I'm having, so many other programs that I'm keeping up with. I'm looking at that as when these shows are done, I'm going to jump on it and get caught up because it's too good. So I would recommend don't necessarily abandon it. If when you have that like summer break, maybe jump back to it again because it's really terrific. But here's the beauty. Whether you do or you don't, we got a lot of programming that, really is catered to us. Like, it's kind of like my comics issue right now. When I hear people crabby about comics, like he's geeking out about like, hey, I've been really enjoying action. And I agree with him. Action's been the superior title. So I'm deeply connecting with him. At least that's been my opinion. Superman right now, stepping it up. I am Superman happy. It's really nice to be reading and enjoying so much Superman because the Superman title's been stepping it up again. That it's a fun time to be enjoying those comics. I like this kind of stuff. So Convergence has me excited because of the fact that change a lot of times is good when it's carefully thought out change and they do interesting things. And Superman's a title that's highly benefited from that.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And the TV series with Arrow and everything with Flash, it's funny. I was hooping and hollering, so much with some of the recent episodes that I actually kind of pulled a muscle cheering.
You what?
I kind of tweaked something in my hip. I was sitting and I was like, hoorah! And I was doing like a fist pump kind of thing, like, yeah, like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, ow! What did I just do?
So wait, you hurt yourself watching Arrow?
I hurt myself watching TV, yes.
Why does Jim got a hazmat suit on? Well, it's the weekly programming. It's we usually put him in a padded room, let him roll around a bit.
I need, I need like harnesses and, I need to stretch and, I need to loosen up before I watch because I get excited. Honestly, I one time twisted my ankle because I know I'm watching in my one chair. And I can't even remember what the scene was, but it was in Arrow. It was one of those oh my God moment in Arrow, and I jumped out of my chair going, what the heck just happened? And I hit and I turned my ankle, and I literally just wiped out. It was just I'm laying on the ground holding my ankle, going ow, hold on, let me rewind so I can see what I missed.
I can see myself in like a year visiting you in the hospital. Why is he in the hospital? He bludgeoned himself with an absolute. It was like, no, you don't understand. It was really good. He had like a fit. It's a great story, though. It shows the kind of excitement you can get from this stuff, though. That when it's done right, yeah. I don't have any similar injuries to share, but
I think very few people out there actually injured themselves watching TV. That's a rarity. That's a sensei thing.
That shows your dedication.
Yeah.
That's definitely a whatnot moment.
Yes.
If anybody wants to send in, like we used to do this thing called Where's Whatnot Now. We still do. But if anybody's got like Photoshop and wants to take like pictures of Jim and, share other similar comic-related, geek-related injuries that he has, we'd be glad to put them up on the website.
The There's a reason I never shared that story on. And as I'm saying it, I'm caught in a moment of laughing. Back in my head, I'm thinking, this is not going to end well for you, Jim.
I would love to see what people do. People are very. I bet you we've got some very creative listeners. I bet you some of them be really good with Photoshop. What happened to Jim now? Oh boy, geek-related injuries that shouldn't happen. That's good stuff. I agree with him, though. I think that Superman's really stepped up. Was it that way for you? I know we talked about it, but you being the Superman fan, did you feel like the action book was more superior, or were you just kind of enjoying the whole ride? Where were you at?
I would say Action had the leg up on the Superman title. For most of the run, there were moments where I was really getting some cool Superman moments in the Superman title, but then Action would have it seemed to me like Action and Superman were really dealing with different factions of the character and just where he was in life. Initially Action was the early Superman days, where Superman was the established title. Action always had kind of a connection, more of a connection to Clark Kent, to Smallville, to his past. Superman was dealing with the hero dun-dun-dun side of it. So each one was telling some really cool stories, but if it was one of those things where if gun to head had to pick one, Action was always just taking a slight edge over Superman for me.
Jim hurt himself. He's trying to choose between the two books.
How's it going, guys? This is Brandon calling out New Orleans. It's been a little while, and I'm calling to geek out today about a couple of things. First off, man, Batman and Robin. My little devil, angel, crazy little kid is back, and I love it. I was worried about his return. I wanted him back, and I wanted to make sure it was going to be good. And man, is it good. I wasn't sure about the powers either, but first issue out sold me right off the bat. Great introduction. Basically, Damian running to Bruce, waking him up in the middle of the night, waiting to go out there. And, in the beginning it was, Damian, don't kill. That was always the goal. And it seemed right off the bat, we have a new status quo with, Alfred reminding him, what's the word? Property damage. So, we know what's going on with Damian now. He's obviously still got the morals and everything instilled in him from before. So obviously, we're dealing with our Damian. He still remembers everything from before. It's the same guy. He's not a twisted version, which I'm glad they didn't go with that. And and then we just basically see him go crazy on this little gang, get shot up. His costume riddled with bullets, and he's basically the Man of Steel. He's just still standing there, and Bruce doesn't like this. He wants him to be low key. He doesn't want him to use these powers. He doesn't know what's going on with these powers. We don't know what's going on with these powers. And, Damian doesn't know what's going on with himself. And, he's having these crazy dreams throughout. I love how he pops through the floor and, Alfred's there. Trouble sleeping, Damian? Yes. And, after that, he kind of takes off and Alfred, kind of tells Bruce, let him go, let him fly off, let him be himself. Everybody needs a little solitude. I love the art in this, by the way, too. The distinction of how they've got him taking off, the landing, the close up on the feet to show you he's got the hard landing. He's not seasoned with these powers, and it's Damian, of course he's going to go full force. And then he goes and he finds out where his brothers were, because that was the dream he was having, the weird clones that, popped up earlier in the series. And I love that they're hearkening back to this, when Bruce was basically on his rampage to find Damian, we found out that there were these crazy clones that Ra's had, and Aquaman has had them buried, this whole time under the sea in Atlantis in a cage. And, Damian takes it upon himself to go and free them and brings them to a little island, and then basically takes off. And up and away for the next issue, basically. So, I don't know what we're going to see from the future of this, but right off the bat, any worries I had about it are definitely gone. It's amazing. And I'm so happy to see Damian back. I was so sad to see him go, and I'm so happy to see him come back. And and next up, I'd love to talk about a little World's End. Right now I'm on issue 14. I actually I just recently moved into a house me and my fiance bought, so it's been crazy. We have 2 girls in school, and my pile at the store kind of got stocked up. So I had about 2.5 to 3 months worth of back issues, and World's End was something I kind of put on the side and stacked up on it for a little while, waiting to read it in bulk. And I've probably read 6 issues today, and it's awesome. I mean, I'm on issue 14, and spoilers, things like Superman being back, Dick Grayson being in Chicago, losing Barbara, the battle with Darkseid and Miracle, and how he was set up to bring Darkseid back. It's been great, and the art's been beautiful. It seems very consistent. I'm also reading Batman Eternal, another weekly title, which can pile up pretty quickly, both of them. But I love Batman Eternal. It's a great book, great story. But I noticed in that one, the art is very inconsistent. Sometimes we have really great issues, sometimes okay issues, and sometimes, but it's been very inconsistent. And it seems with World's End, I mean, like I said, I've stacked up and I'm reading them in bulk, and very consistent, and the art is very beautiful. I'm not sure the team's working on this, but whoever they are, they complement each other very well. And the book is very pretty and it's very consistent. I like that in the weekly, because that's the only complaint I seem to have so far with the 2 weeklies I'm reading. I don't know about Future's End. I figure I'm going to get that one in hardback one day, when it comes out all together. But so far out of World's End and Batman, I'd say, the consistency of art is incredible on World's End. And just one more thing I want to jump to before end the call is Grant Morrison in Multiplicity, man. Multiplicity, Jesus University. It's an incredible book too. I just got done reading the issue with Captain Marvel and the Thunderbolts. It was incredible. I loved it. Harkening back to some old school DC fun. Just that's what the book has been so far. It's just good old-fashioned DC fun, and I've got the guidebook right in front of me. I'm getting ready to read, and I am so excited to find out what's going on, with all the different worlds, and I'm really excited about that. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that. How are you viewing this multiversity event? Do you like it? What are your thoughts on it? I love it. I'm excited, and I'm going to go and read the guidebook right now. So you guys take it easy. Thanks again for the great content.
Wow, a ton of content there to talk about. It's actually, and I love, it's one of the things I love about him, totally geeking out. I'm going to start with Multiversity and kind of work my way backwards, I think. The thing I love about Multiversity is I love that whole concept that it's like breaks the fourth wall. There's this comic that they're reading in every issue that if you read it, you're going to die, or you got the whole thing. It's like, but yet you're drawn to it. You have to read it. Somebody in the world reads it. I love the way that story's playing out. I love that each issue is focused on a very different world in the multiverse and really embraces that through the story, through the art. It's what I liked about Seven Soldiers. It feels like its own entity. It's very outside of everything that's currently happening at DC, yet it also feels like it's constructing something. Seven Soldiers, I think, did a great job of building. And look at what, you and I are huge fans of Frankenstein right now, for example. So I'm hoping out of Multiversity, we get that kind of thing. We're left with that kind of foundation. I haven't read the guidebook yet. I'm really excited to sit down and read that and page through it and see what's going on. But I'm current on the series, and I'm loving it. It's it kind of fits into your palate cleansers category. It's because it's so outside of everything, yet it feels like a foundational piece. For me, I'm really digging it. Are you caught up on it? Where are you at on the series?
I'm not caught up on it yet. I'm still, I think I'm like 2 issues back on it. But it's one of those reads that I read it, then I reread it, then I have to do a couple reads each issue for me really to get a grasp on it. And it's one of those things because I got to put so much into it sometimes that I'm like, I need to be fresher when I read it. I can't, like there's certain titles I can pick up after I've read a couple issues and, I can, go through it and stuff like that. I really have to be fresh, clean, ready to rock and roll when I start reading it. So it's something I definitely am enjoying the concept and enjoying the idea about it. And like how you mentioned with Seven Soldiers, I'd like to see some of these characters come out of this and some of these characters and some of these universes continue and, usage of, some of the groundwork that's being laid. I'd like to see that, but as a story goes on, I still need, I'm still not at a comfort level that I could sit here and just talk about it and say, well, I like this. I think this is kind of neat. I'm still not comfortable with the series.
Do you like it?
Yes. Oh yeah. Hold on. I like it. I'm not knocking quality of work.
I didn't even mean it that way. A lot of times you can read a series and there's no right or wrong answer to that. And I really wasn't setting you up with that question. I was left with, it was funny, because I know sometimes when we read Morrison books, you and I wind up in very different places because, expectations, I think, when we go in. So I was really curious. I mean, it was a genuine question, not a setup.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely like it, and I think it's good. It's just, it is one of, and especially it is Morrison, he's one of those creators that, it's what I gotta earn it. You gotta do some reading. You gotta take your time with it. You gotta embrace what you're getting, embrace what you're seeing. And just you kind of got to study it a little bit for me really to get a good solid grasp with it. There's some certain creators I jump right in. I know what's going on. I know where it is. I'll still get swerves. I'll still get, oh my God, didn't see that coming. That's cool. But I get what they're saying. I get what they're doing. With him, I don't always get what he's doing. I don't completely understand why is he telling me this? Why is he doing this? And I think that's one of the things I like about him, the fact that it's not an easy read. I like the challenge, but I know me. I gotta be in the right mind. I gotta be in the right mindset for it. I gotta be ready to rock and roll and go, okay, it's time. Let's do this right now.
He's geeking out about Batman and Robin, which you and I have both been doing. We love that series. It's funny as he's talking about it. Talk about a legacy. Tomasi built off of Grant Morrison's work and really. Tomasi and Gleason really built off of that and took Damian and Batman and continued it on, really made that relevant and brought back Damian. And it's one of the things I really like about Morrison. He lays groundwork, puts concepts out there, and leaves them in a place where other creators can do what they want with it. And he embraces that. I really enjoy that about him. He likes to build things, and his concepts get kind of heady and things like that because he really thinks about, I think, leaving things open-ended to the point where you can do things with what he's put out there later. He really left a rich mark at DC. I know that it looks like Multiversity is going to be his last work at DC for a while, just because we don't have anything on the slate. He's doing Nameless right now, which I'm very anxious to read, with Chris Burnham from the Batman Incorporated work that they did, and I'm anxious to read it. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'm excited just because I like their work together. But for now, I've got Multiversity. I would like to see him come back in the future because he's, between his work over at Marvel with the X-Men, I love when he does superhero stuff. It's just really, really great. And the way that he manages to take concepts and leave something better in their place, and other creators, I love when they flock around it and embrace it and do their own thing with it. I think Tomasi's just been a great example of somebody who's just, took the ball and ran with the Damian concept and really has given us something very rich with that character. I can't wait for more.
Speaking of with the Damian concept, the clones, his brothers that he rescued.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I so echo what was said. I loved that issue and just seeing Damian, but it was also the thing that I thought was cool was Aquaman had them, but they weren't like prisoners. They were more like guests. They were well taken care of. They weren't suffering. They were in a good place. And it's Aquaman, being a hero. He's not a monster. He's not a villain. He was taking care of these these creatures who were in his charge, and it wasn't a torturing thing. And Damian even recognized, yes, I know, but they need to be free. It's time. And he's got to take care of his brothers. And I love just how he puts them on that island, and he's going to go back and visit them. He's going to see, he's not just abandoning them on that desert island. He's going to be going back periodically. And those are going to be some of the sequences I'm looking forward to in the future stories that are going to come out with, Damian, son of Batman. Robin, son of Batman. I want to see him interacting with his brothers. I want to see the Damian side of the story as well as the Robin side.
Yeah, to me, I thought that sequence was wonderful. I thought what was really moving about it was Alfred and Bruce, really kind of debating, they're parents of Damian, really, at this point. They're the ones that have taken on this guardianship of him. And I love that Alfred's kind of like the grandfather figure where Bruce is the father figure, and they kind of work off each other on it. There's something really endearing to me about that. And none of it takes away, and it all feels very fitting in the world that we're getting. You look what Snyder's doing over there with his crazy Joker story, which I'm digging to death. But I love that this all feels like it's part of that world. And that's really important and critical, too, with what's going on right now. I think that the Batman universe is a very rich tapestry. And the stuff they're doing with Damian, I love when Brandon calls in, because he geeks out the same way I do about this stuff, and I think it's really, really awesome. And then obviously we just had a big discussion about Earth 2, World's End. This is an example of weekly books done right.
Yeah.
I really like weekly books. I think that it's a different sort of storytelling. I think DC's really I'm glad that Batman Eternal is supposed to be getting a sequel. There's going to be another Batman Eternal.
Really?
So we're gonna get another weekly book. I think they're doing a season 2 kind of concept with it. I like DC's weekly output, and I think that you have to be very judicious with it. You have to be careful because of people's budgets. You have to tell the right kind of stories that make them of value. And we're going to continue talking about weekly books on our next episode. But I think there's a lot to discuss about what they're doing with Batman and what they're doing with the New 52 Futures End. And we'll be talking about those next week.
This is Jack Dower from Rebels. I want to say I have to rave about Gotham last night. You guys are talking about the TV shows anyway right now, so I figure this is the time to talk about it. I don't know how many Emmys I could give this show. Number one, the writing is fantastic. The relationship between Penguin and Jim Gordon last night when he goes to Penguin to get Detective Trask, that was just awesome. Heck, Robin Lloyd Taylor, who's playing Penguin, he went through every emotion you could do in that show in just one episode. The stuff with his mother, the stuff when he was like a boss with Gabe, of course, him really wanting to be a friend and kind of reaching out in kind of a pathetic, kind of creepy way to Jim Gordon. Then when Fish shows up, the surprise, the whole drunk scene, when he's begging Fish, and then when Fish ends up rejecting him, he goes into full Penguin mode and tells her how much smarter he is than she is, And then the crazy laugh when the guys come in and save him. I mean, he deserves an Emmy. The guy who plays Riddler deserves an Emmy. I mean, it's his really understated, subtle performance, but, which is borders on creepy and fun at the same time. I mean, that is a new take on Riddler, but it is a fantastic take on him. Anyway, I'm going on and on. I'm going to stop now, but this was a great episode, and Gotham is my favorite show on TV. And there's so much more I could say about it. But the other shows, okay, Flash, first off, I love all four of these shows. So Flash is great because it is totally different from the others. It's not dark. It has a fantastic mystery with this whole tie-in to Crisis. Captain Cold. I mean, Captain Cold has just been, you can tell Captain Cold is Jeff Johns' favorite character. Now, he said he was his favorite character as far as favorite villain goes, but you can really tell because he has done more for that character than anybody else. Captain Cold is fantastic in the comics right now as Lex Luthor's henchman who is planning to screw him over. And Captain Cold in this show is knock your socks off. I cannot wait until my favorite Flash rogue, the Mirror Master, shows up. I want to see what they do with him. Arrow. Arrow's resurrection episode was bringing in who is going to be Katana. That's got to be Katana. Her name is Tatsu. I mean, I was not really a Katana fan. I didn't dislike her, but I didn't really care about her. This show's made me care about her. This show has made me a huge Ray Palmer fan. I mean, Arrow, which the relationship between Arrow and Flash to me is very Superman-Batman, and that totally works. Arrow was a great starting point for this new universe of TV. And finally, Constantine. I know Constantine's in trouble in the ratings, but the good news I have for people who, like me, love that show is David S. Goyer said that NBC is doing everything it can to be supportive to the show, and they have not told him he's being canceled. They're just capping this season at 13. But, there's a good chance the show will survive, especially since NBC wants a Justice League Dark movie, which I guess Guillermo del Toro has already submitted the script to. Anyway, Matt Ryan, spot on, fantastic Constantine. I love how creepy and funny these shows are. It has a reminiscence to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if people remember that show, and it definitely seems like the comic book. I've got nothing negative to say about Constantine. I got to get off the phone. Here's my question. I am loving all four of these shows just like you guys. So when you hear Krypton's coming out and Teen Titans might be coming out and Supergirl we know is coming out, how excited are you? I mean, do you think they can keep the quality up for those three shows that they are doing here? Do you think that the quality we saw in Man of Steel can be maintained for the movies? And anyway, I got to go. Talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.
I got a question.
Okay.
Where do you have to go? I was left with a cliffhanger there. I wanted to know where he had to go. He's asking some great questions, and it's quality is exactly the issue. Can they keep up the quality? Yes. I think Teen Titans is a definite go. From everything I'm reading, it looks like that series is a definite go. We got Supergirl, we got Krypton. It's writing. It really is writing. That's the key to it. You've got to really have, and I shouldn't just say it's just writing. It's writing. It's proper casting. It's being true to the concept while understanding that you have to appeal to a larger television audience too. You don't want to lose your core fans. You also want to be accessible to the other fans. Do I think every one of those series can succeed? Yes. If marketed right and done properly, sure. I would like to see it. I think they're different enough that they could. So it's a quality thing. It really is. He kept using the term quality. Can they keep the quality up? Yeah, if there's key writing to all that. So that's kind of the thing for me. What do you think, though? I mean, do you think it's too much?
Well, first off, Sean, you didn't answer the guy's question.
What?
He asked you, how excited are you? So you know how excited I am? I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
And we know what happens to you when you lose control. You hurt yourself.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think I like it too. You know what? It's funny. You singing has taken a whole new turn for me.
You're just hoping you'll hear at the end of the
It is.
singing.
It's kind of like you're building an anticipation now. It's funny. I could go back now and probably listen to our entire podcast from the beginning very differently now. And have to wonder, like, what injuries you incurred along the way. You know what? We could almost put you on disability.
It'd be fun filling out the paperwork. How did you injure yourself? I was singing and dancing while recording a podcast.
I think you have hurt yourself over here when we used to record here. Didn't you when we had you in your little corner, bang yourself into the wall a few times?
Oh, I know. I've hit my shoulder, hit my head a couple times, and yeah.
Oh, Leah, this was something
give
wrong
the
with
serious answer now. Yeah, I think they can pull this off. I'm optimistic that we're seeing every time they put out something, they are they're recognizing that you have to have your own spin on it, but you have to have enough of a nod to the source material that you're not going to lose your initial core fans, but you got to give a cool story to pull in the new people. There's a lot of people who aren't comic book readers who have talked to me about Flash, about Arrow, about Constantine, especially about Gotham. Gotham is an example of really pulling in people who don't read comic books, but who know Batman, who know Batman's in Gotham. They'll know a name Jim Gordon, or they'll know, they'll know Bruce Wayne, they'll know Alfred. I mean, they want to keep continuing. And Penguin, hey, I remember the Penguin, that's one of his villains. And I'll get people asking me about, hey, how accurate is this to the comic, yada yada, stuff like that. And I'll have conversations, with people, and I'm always careful that I don't go full geek on them, because when they start asking me, I want to jump right, hardcore right into it. But I rein myself in, and I'm kind of proud that I am able to control myself when people start asking me questions about these different series. But the TV people, they're recognizing this, and hopefully when we start getting these other titles, like Teen Titans, there's very few people who aren't in the comic book universe who are going to really know who these guys are. So that's one of the ones I'm very curious about. Like, your common everyday person knows Krypton is where Superman's from. They know the term Supergirl. Okay, they don't know her exact story, but they know, okay, she's a Kryptonian. She's some relation to Superman. Okay, that's kind of stuff they can go with. But when you get something like Teen Titans, when you get something like, iZombie coming out soon, these are things that people don't know about. And those are the ones that I want to see. I want to make sure they give us that solid story, but it's not just the comic book. They got to make sure the outside universe likes this as well.
Yeah, it really is, though. Why do we like comics? Is it because there's a certain quality we have that we like comics? No. We've given them a chance. We're drawn in by the great writing, the serialized storytelling. I think comics themselves, with the quality of television, you take a look at what's going on like at HBO and Showtime and the kind of the quality of these. He mentions Constantine's going to be 13 episodes. That's kind of going into HBO Showtime territory now. And I don't know that that's necessarily the kiss of death for that show. I'm hoping that for people that they jump onto it becomes like a show kind of like The Following, which do you watch that at all with Kevin Bacon? That show in like 24 or so recently, they were, released in these shorter stints, and, it just tends to be tighter storylines and things like that. I'm hoping Constantine comes back around kind of similar to that. I don't care if they do 13 episodes every time. I just hope it develops an audience base and kind of goes, that route with it. Just because I think it's great. I think it's really terrific writing. I think that's the key. Just really great storytelling, really great shows. Let people see what sticks. I don't know. It's no accident that places like Netflix are doing like a Daredevil series now.
Yeah.
I think these are properties they're going to be doing a Jessica Jones series. These are things that people are going to want to see if they're done right. That's the catch. It's got to be done right. So I'm hoping we get that out of these. I'm excited just for the.
Are you so excited?
Yes, I actually. I am. Yeah, for a couple of very weird. I'm excited for the television. I'm more excited to see what happens to you, which is very fascinating to me. Krypton's probably the one I'm most intrigued by because you can go really sci-fi with that, and that could be a very unique show out of the batch. Because I think you could go full on sci-fi with that. None of them are doing that right now. Like full on sci-fi with the fact that it's on Krypton. You can really do like a Battlestar Galactica, a Star Trek. That kind of vibe. If I'm hitting it right, where you get like the political intrigue, but then you also have this great technology and just there's a unique lore to Krypton, especially, if you take a look at stuff that was introduced in Man of Steel with them colonizing other worlds and stuff. Depending on which route they're going with that, Krypton could be a very interesting and unique series.
Oh God, yeah. They've got some ground. They've got some really cool stuff they can tap into there,
especially with that caste system too.
Yeah,
good stuff. That's a really good question. I want to know where he went. I like him. He does. You know what? We've got some really cool callers, and I genuinely find that I'm very intrigued by all of them because with how long we've been doing this, our callers. The nice part about the voicemail, people don't feel like they've got to make their calls a certain length. They just kind of be themselves and they call in. I feel like I'm getting to know the people that call in. They're becoming personalities on the show. I mean, just because they're being themselves. And I really want to meet like everybody that calls into the show. Just because they've become friends that we're living vicariously through this medium with. I'm just kind of interested in that. So it's good stuff. So thank you for calling in, guys. Our show voicemail line is 1-440-388-4434 or Dr. Norge on Skype. And we really do. We love having you part of the show. I hear every voicemail because of the fact that I love getting to know the people that listen to this podcast. I love hearing what you're interested in, what's grabbing you about television, comics, film, all of this stuff. So please feel free to call in with anything that's on your mind relating to DC or comics and pop culture in general. We've had some great phone calls that kind of fall outside of that. So please don't hesitate to call in on that stuff. And if you got something to shout out, please don't hesitate to use our voicemail line for that as well. I do look at this as a community-based podcast, so don't hesitate to do that.
Now I can get out of here.
I want to shout out RagingBullets.com. That is the place to find out what's currently going on with the podcast, what new releases look like. It does feed into our Twitter account. We do have a Facebook fan page. Besides that, we have a Facebook group. It's an amazing community. It's grown so far beyond the podcast, and that's really due to the quality people that are there. We've got fellow podcasters, bloggers, friends who there's constant discussions going on. They do Google Chats, Google Hangouts, talking about television, film, you name it. It's just a wonderful, safe, thriving community of really cool people. So I can't encourage you enough to check out our Facebook group. It's free to join, and it's a wonderful community, so please consider checking it out. We're on Google+. Basically, if there's a social media outlet, we're available there for you, but all that feeds off of our website, RagingBullets.com. Sponsoring this episode, once again, is DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. As I mentioned, DCBService.com is your source for collecting statues. They have the Brian Hitch statue. I'm looking at it right now. It's gorgeous. It's $79.95 regularly, 32% off, only $54.37. Those types of discounts really make it easy to make this, because I'm someone like, I don't have an unlimited budget. I've got to really make trade-offs. I'd love to get every statue that they have on there just because I'm really into statues right now. But I'm into my comics. I'm into, all the collectibles that are on there. So I have to make judicious decisions, and those discounts really help stretch my dollar. So being able to get a 32% off on a statue means the difference between me getting a statue and a collected edition and some of my regular comic books and not being, I've got to stay in my budget. So DCBService.com really is that pre-order source for that. InStockTrades.com. Invisibles hardcover, book 3. If you have never read The Invisibles, I cannot recommend the series enough. It's a very edgy Grant Morrison series. And this collects volume 2, issues 1 through 13. It's a 336-page count book. It's Grant Morrison, art by Phil Jimenez, cover art by Brian Boland. This is classic work. $29.99 regularly, 50% off, only $14.99. Highest possible recommendation I can give to a book, which is why I'm shouting it out. That's over at InStockTrades.com. Our next episode, Jim, we're going to continue discussing weekly books. We're going to discuss Batman Eternal. We're going to discuss the New 52 Future's End. Plus, we'll throw in some other stuff. We'll talk over the week, Jim, and find some books that we're enjoying right now that we'd like to talk about, and we'll throw them on to next week's discussion as well. So we will see everyone next week with some more comic chat.
Bye!
On November 13th, Sean Whalen was asked to stop constantly talking about comic books. That request came from his wife. Deep down, he knew she was right, but he also knew that someday he would find someone that would talk to him. With nowhere else to go, he appeared at the home of his childhood friend Jim Segulin. Sometime earlier, Segulin's boss had requested that he shut up about his comic books and never speak of them again. Can two grown men put out a DC Comics podcast without driving each other crazy? It's Raging Bullets, the DC Comics fan podcast. With Sean Whalen as Dr. Norge, and Jim Segulin as the Sensei of the Whatnot and the Duke of You Know. It's a spoiler podcast, so they will go in depth into the plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the comics they are reviewing. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you may better enjoy the show.